I have something of a weird relationship with Sonic games. The 2D games that I really like are Sonic Rush due to it introducing a boost mechanic to Sonic games, and Sonic CD because it was fucking rad. While I'm at this heresy, Sonic Mania was mostly okay with the exception of the soundtrack, which was hot fire. What can I say? I was always more of a Mega Man kid growing up, circumstances and whatnot. I do, however, have a clear-cut appreciation for the 3D Sonic games. Hey, now, before you start yeeting stuff at me, it's because I've played more of those in my formative years, and there were some genuinely good games in there. I remember me and my brother renting Sonic Heroes multiple times when it first came out so I could finish it. I actually really liked a lot of what Shadow the Hedgehog was doing, even if a lot of what it tried to be at least felt like it was too ambitious for the hardware it was on. I think Sonic Adventure 2 is pretty neat, even if it's aged pretty poorly in some areas, and the 360 version of Sonic Unleashed is a genuinely fantastic game, Werehog included, and laid the foundations for what the Sonic games could be going forward. Now that I've finally gotten that out of the way, I'm going to talk to you about the main reason you clicked on this video, Sonic Frontiers. Full disclosure, this is going to be more of a first impressions in video form, mainly because this game is pretty big and I've been running around doing a lot of stuff for the fall release window, so I haven't played as much of it as I would have wanted. But either way, I'm Mahmoud Aden, and I'm going to tell you what's good about Sonic Frontiers so far. The first thing that should immediately jump at you if you've been paying attention is that this is a fully open world. That's right, this is the first Sonic game where you have full access to a not seamless open world like the Breath of the Wild rendition of Hyrule or the lands between and Elden Ring, but you get 5 islands that you can roll around at the speed of sound to. I've only finished the story requirements to get to the second island, so most of the footage you're seeing is from Island Numero Uno. And you heard right, I said story. The basic plot hook is Sonic, Tails, and Amy investigating the disappearance of both Knuckles and the Chaos Emeralds, whereupon they reach the mysterious Starfall Islands and get sucked into a wormhole. This leads to Sonic finding himself isolated, his friends missing, and having to deal with an army of ancient killer robots controlled by a mysterious girl named Sage, and whatever the heck Eggman's got cooking up. Sonic Frontiers is definitely one of the more narrative-heavy games in the series, and for good reason. Sonic Team actually reached out and got Ian Flynn, the writer of the Archie and later IDW Sonic comics, obligatory Fluck Ken Benders, to help. And while according to Flynn in an IGN interview, link will be provided in the description, he was provided with the story, backstory, plot beats, and useful characters for the story, he does a damn fine work within that frame. Flynn's familiarity with these characters is apparent from the outset and crafts some of the most compelling narratives in a Sonic game to date from what I've seen. I'm mostly keeping things vague because of spoilers, but seriously, it's really good. And while the story is very good, I reckon most people playing a Sonic game want one thing only, to go fast. And this is where I initially had my reservations, because when you take a game or series that is normally known for incredibly tight linear level design and blow that out, you're bound to have some problems. When I first loaded the game up and played, I could feel that there was a distinct amount of weight to Sonic and his movements that had this weird effect on my brain where it feels like I was going slower than I feel like I should have been, and I didn't like it. Because for me, at least, peak Sonic is the stuff like the daytime levels in Unleashed, the longer main stage levels and colors, or the modern levels in Generations, which felt more like testing your reflexes and speed with some light 2D platforming as a means of breaking things up and lowering your heart rate. And while that did seem to be the case, I actually got used to it. After a few hours, I came to the realization that the reason why you feel more anchored in this play space is for the explicit purpose of giving you more control over Sonic himself. The boost lets you go from 0 to 100 really goddamn fast, both metaphorically and literally, but you can also stop at the drop of a dot. These, combined with Sonic's suite of movement options that you usually see in 3D games, like the Link Attack to get to both enemies and terrain, Lightspeed Dash and cross rings, a stomp that gets you back to the ground faster, and even the Drop Dash from Sonic Mania, which can be used to climb up stuff, but you will not see me use in this footage because I completely fucking suck at doing it consistently, all make for the best possible version of a new playable Sonic the Hedgehog. And so far, while there is still a lot of open world busy work, a lot of that doesn't bother me because the traversal of this world through Sonic's abilities and his speed all feel so goddamn good that I don't mind doing them. It's all very reminiscent of how I didn't mind the open world stuff in the more recent Spider-Man games, because controlling Peter and Miles in their respective games also felt very nice in terms of the swinging. But back to it. The structure is that you basically go around exploring the island, collecting memory tokens to unlock story beats. Coco, adorable little rock things, hearts, and weird blue fruit things are for increasing speed, defense, and attack found around the open world, and vault keys for unlocking Chaos Emeralds in the Cyberspace zones. The Cyberspace zones are the closest to the older style of Sonic games and are short, bite-sized speed challenges that can be repeated for them sweet S-ranks and more keys. And I would be lying if I said I didn't want to go back and S-rank all the stuff I wouldn't have S-ranked otherwise. But wait, there's more! This game also has combat, possibly the most amount of combat in a Sonic game barring Sonic Unleashed. There's also a simple upgrade tree that has just enough stuff in there to keep combat from feeling boring and does a lot to stave off the feeling of just mashing the attack button. Chief among these new abilities is the Silent, which can be used to tag a bunch of enemies for some high damage and can be used outside of combat for some secret hunting. All you gotta do is run in a circle. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, just gotta connect it and boom, you get Silent. But the main standouts are the enemies. Instead of fighting Eggman's usual assortment of robotic minions, you go against the aforementioned killer robots I mentioned at the start of the video. And they all have different shapes, sizes, and patterns that do a lot to give you different types of fights, and it's awesome. I'll be the first to admit that I didn't like Sonic Frontiers at first. But after playing through the first island and seeing both what the changes to the mechanics and the story had to offer, I gotta say, I'm all in. Fingers crossed that the rest of the game wins me over like this did. And that'll be it for 2022! Thank you very much for watching. It's been a heck of a year between the new website and the launching of these videos. And we got more stuff coming up in 2023. Moj out. I don't know why I just did this hand sign. Y'all can't see it.